All right, let's dive into something really cool today. Imagine a construction company, right? But one that takes its inspiration from the master builders of fantasy. Think dwarves from your favorite stories. Now, what if you gave them futuristic tech and scaled their ambitions up, way up, to a cosmic level? We're talking about a company that doesn't just build skyscrapers, it literally builds entire worlds.
So that brings us to the big question, the one we're really going to chew on today. Could a construction company, a business that, lays foundations and puts up walls, actually evolve into something completely different, something that doesn't just work with nature, but becomes a force of nature in its own right?
All right, first up, Dwarven Dreams, Future Tech. So how does a company even get to the point of thinking about building worlds? I mean, where do you even start? Well, it begins with a really simple but powerful idea, and its foundations are planted firmly on and actually under our very own planet.
Okay, so let's introduce our fictional company, Doom Properties. Yeah, that name is a total nod to the huge underground dwarven halls you read about in fantasy books. The whole idea is to take that incredible, legendary skill for carving entire cities out of mountains and just supercharge it. Pump it full of the kind of advanced tech we might actually see in the next few decades.
And this is a perfect way to see how that idea translates. So, where Tolkien's dwarves had these ancient, massive halls, Doom Properties is all about building sleek, futuristic cities. The old school arts of mining and forging? Nope, that gets replaced by super advanced engineering. And the most important part? The magic and myth of fantasy? That all gives way to the cold, hard reality of science and technology.
So, at its heart, Doom Properties really just starts out as something we can all wrap our heads around, a real estate company. You can think of it like a futuristic version of a giant firm like Vinci or Brookfield. But here's the huge difference, right? Their backyard, their property, it isn't just a country or even a continent, it's the whole dang solar system.
Okay, that brings us to our next section, from Earth to the stars. See, mastering construction here on Earth, that's just step one. That's just the beginning. The company's real ambition isn't just about digging down, it's about building out, way out, beyond our atmosphere and into the cosmos.
And you can see their path here, and it's logical, even if it's unbelievably ambitious. First, you get really, really good at your craft at home, perfecting these underground cities. Next, you take all that knowledge and you go into space using raw materials you find out there, like asteroids. And that leads to the final massive leap, figuring out how to command the fundamental forces that literally shape the universe.
Okay, so at this stage, the company's toolbox is just completely different. I mean, forget about hammers and cranes and bulldozers. We're talking about Doom Properties learning to wield fundamental forces like gravity and electromagnetism. They're using them to shape and assemble these colossal structures in zero-G, turning asteroids into habitats or maybe even creating mountains that just float in orbit. Wild stuff.
And this brings us to the third and honestly the most mind-bending part of this whole journey. This is where Doom Properties goes way beyond construction as we think of it and steps into something that feels, it feels almost godlike.
This right here, this is the massive philosophical breakthrough. It's a complete 180-degree shift in perspective. I mean, think about it. For all of human history, construction has been about forcing a structure onto a landscape. But what if you could get the landscape to build a structure for you? So this new philosophy, it has a name, geological construction. The goal is to completely stop fighting against these massive forces, like tectonic pressure and volcanic eruptions, and instead learn how to conduct them, like a conductor with an orchestra. You're not a builder anymore. You're more like a planetary choreographer, guiding these totally natural processes to create something brand new. And this really nails the shift in thinking. Humans, we build things, brick by brick, piece by piece. But a mountain doesn't get built, it grows. And that's the new model. Doom Properties stops building cities, it starts growing them, cultivating them, letting them just emerge right out of the planet itself. So, the big question is, how on Earth, or any other planet, would this even work? It sounds like science fiction, right? Well, the best way to really get it is with an analogy that's a little closer to home. Just look at the tools they'd be using. Volcanic eruptions, tectonic plate pressure, lava flows. These are some of the most powerful, most destructive forces in the entire universe. But in the hands of Doom Properties, they're not chaotic anymore. They become precision tools. A volcanic eruption isn't a random disaster, it's a targeted delivery of raw material. Tectonic pressure isn't an earthquake hazard, it's a giant hydraulic press.
And here it is. This is the big idea that makes it all click into place. Just imagine a 3D printer. We all know how those work. Now scale that thing up to the size of an entire planet. The planet's molten core? That's your raw material. It's the ink for your printer. And a carefully controlled volcanic eruption? That's the nozzle, precisely layering lava bit by bit to grow a structure, all according to a digital blueprint.
And once you can do that, the applications are, well, they're basically limitless. You could grow entire cities from the ground up, complete with hollow internal spaces, soaring atriums, open plazas, and they would be perfectly seamlessly integrated into the landscape because they literally are the landscape. This would just become the new standard for building any settlement on any other planet, making humanity a truly multi-planetary species.
But look, this kind of technological power, it doesn't just change how we build things, it changes who we are. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most profound implication of a company like Doom Properties even existing. I mean, just think about the weight of that for a second. Doom Properties wouldn't just be the first company to build cities on other worlds. No, it would be the first construction company in all of human history to build for an entirely new species of human. They'd be the official architects for a species that is defined by its complete mastery over nature itself.
This theoretical new species even has a name, Homo Deus. It literally means God-human. It's an idea that describes a future where our technology gives us abilities that we once only attributed to gods. You know, like the power to shape entire worlds. And Doom Properties, in this future, becomes the company that builds the homes, the cities, the habitats for these new gods. They become, quite literally, the architects of humanity's next great evolution.
And so, that leaves us with one last, really deep question to think about. When a company can 3D print a mountain, and when humanity can command the geological forces of a planet, what does that even mean for our identity? When we can wield the power of gods, are we still human? Does that word even apply anymore? Definitely something to think about.